We've just heard the account of the Transfiguration of Jesus. It's such a dramatic story that it makes me wonder how we would react if we were there witnessing it all. Can you place yourself on that mountain with Jesus and his disciples? Can you envision the sight of Jesus glowing like the sun? What would you do? Would you believe your eyes? Would you lean in, maybe out of curiosity, or lean away out of suspicion or fear? According to the Matthew account, the disciples seemed to absorb this glowing Jesus pretty reasonably. Perhaps they'd seen so many of Jesus' miracles firsthand that maybe they were ready for most anything. But it had to be unsettling, this vision. And then to see their teacher and friend in conversation with the long-departed prophets Elijah and Moses, well, the vision went from unsettling to downright otherworldly. And Peter, clearly so astonished by it all, had to do something. So he sprung up with an offer to build tents or memorials to these beloved prophets. But Peter had hardly finished babbling, as the writer says, when a cloud mist enveloped them all, and a deep rumbling voice is heard to say, "This is my son, marked by my love, focus of my delight. Listen to him." And the disciples dove to the ground, flat on their faces with fear. Visions were one thing, but to add a mysterious rumbling voice to the situation from the clouds was beyond what they could bear. They dove for the ground, terrified. How about you? What would you do? I'm thinking I'd be on the ground, face down in the dirt with the disciples. But let's reconsider what we heard. We heard the voice of God naming and claiming his beloved Son. And then the next thing we hear is, listen to him. Not listen to him or else, but God said, listen to him. And in the silence that followed, the very next words that fell on the disciples' ears were Jesus' words, "Don't be afraid." Jesus touched them and said, "Don't be afraid." And everything returned to normal as if nothing had happened. But indeed, something had happened. What we have just witnessed in this story is God, once again, bringing heaven to earth in all his glory to get our attention, to speak through his Son, Jesus, this Jesus whose every word and every action on earth points to one truth, that his Father, our Father in heaven, loves us. This Jesus who tells us, don't be afraid, picks us up out of the dirt, dusts us off, opens our eyes, unstops our ears, and readies us to receive God's love. What does this all mean? How is it that this God, this omnipotent presence, which holds the universe in his almighty hand, this all-knowing, all-seeing creator whose power and presence is beyond human comprehension, deigns us worthy of such attention? Just as the psalmist declared ages ago from Psalm 8, "When I consider your heavens, the work of your fingers, and the moon and the stars which you have set in place, what is humankind that you are mindful of them, human beings that you care for them?" And from the Ragamuffin Gospel, author Brennan Manning declares, "We should be astonished at the goodness of God, stunned that he should bother to call us by name, our mouths wide open at his love, bewildered that at this very moment we are standing on holy ground." Through his Son, God has invited us to stand with him on holy ground, not because we are equal to God, but as a father loves his children, so he loves us and wants the best for us. Because a life lived in harmony with God is a life that is ignited, fueled, and sustained by a love that restores and renews every day. We just have to call on it, claim it, live into it, and be transformed by it. What a gift. The wonder of it all sends my soul soaring, and it has sent souls soaring for ages past and present as they reach for the words, the melody, the image, the sculpture, the dance, the expression that communicates that which is just beyond our human comprehension. We find ourselves on holy ground, witnesses of God's glory, and like Peter, we can't help but be inspired to tell and show the world that we have been drawn into God's love. What would you do? How would you express God's glory, God's love? Painters paint, builders build, servers serve, dreamers dream, and composers compose. Today, we reach back and claim one such expression through the music of Antonio Vivaldi, singing the Gloria from the Latin Mass, a text that we have all sung to many tunes and styles here at Knoll, as is found in our hymnal. This particular version of Gloria is from the Baroque era, originating in the late 1600s. Even back then, Vivaldi's work inspired the likes of J.S. Bach and Handel. It has an undertow of joy, filled with depth and delight, spanning a full breadth of expression, proclaiming the glory and wonder of God's all-encompassing love. We lift this musical masterpiece before you as an offering to God, in thanks and praise for his steadfast and gracious love, praying that your hearts and minds might be stirred, and that your souls might sing along with us as we sing and play to the glory of God. Thanks be to God. Amen.